start with roll call. Please, names called say here or some version of it.
Liz? Here. Soumya? Here. Yago?
Here.
Palmer?
Here.
Mateo?
Aki.
Allison? She was here for all call. Taro? Here. Heard? He was also here for all call.
He's here.
Yeah. I know he was here for a fact. Carolyn?
Here.
Gabby? Here. Alyssa? Here. Vanch?
Yeah.
Iman? Here. Leo? Carmen? She was also here.
Yeah.
For all
Wait,
call.
if you want,
Marty!
if you want, I can stay outside while you're like watch the.
Here.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Mercedes, Charlie, here, Liv, Grace, here, Claire, Ash.
Here.
It is 7:52 and people are saying.
Let's stand for invocation, please. Can I have someone who the little pray they say which lead the invocation?
May we in the Senate have the wisdom, patience, and guidance to be responsible representatives. May we be fair in judgments, enlightened in our discussions, and ethical in our actions. Can I get a go Broncos?
And can I have someone who ate the chickens and shoot them in the please?
We pause to acknowledge that Santa Clara University sits on the land of the Ohlone and Muwekma Ohlone people. We trace their ancestry through the Missions Dolores, Santa Clara, and San Jose. We remember their connection to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to live, work, learn, and pray on their traditional homeland. Let us take a moment of silence to pay respect to their elders and to all Ohlone people of the past and present.
May you be seated? Gosh, this is really cute stuff.
Approved, or motion.
Soumya, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, previous minutes are approved. Is there any public comment today? I don't think there is.
Motion
to
approved.
Motion from Liz, second from Soumya. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Today's agenda is approved. All right, there we go. Okay, so we'll welcome our guest speaker. Divya spoke in the fall, but
Yes.
now just back up. I'll turn it over
Hi,
to you.
everyone. Good evening. I think that's BHEVA. That's good. Good evening again. I'm Divya Bheda. I think we met I'm hoping all of you all were there in the fall, so it's nice to be back. Thank you for giving me some time. As you know, I'm the Director for Educational Assessment. I have my name badge. I go by she, her pronouns. And what I wanted to share was all the initiatives that we are working on that directly impact you, that I think it's good for all of you to know about and share with your peers. Welcome any questions through the conversation, and then I will leave with my two little ones. Yeah. Sorry, next time. Is it not connected? Oh, okay.
Anyone know how to hack this?
Oh wait, it should just be this. Okay, so this is my office. We actually are currently hiring for an associate director for curricular assessment, but we have Kyle Amore, who's the associate director of co-curricular assessment. So he supports Ted, he supports Matthew Duncan, he supports Mike Nuttall from Mission and from the Ignatian Center, Inclusive Excellence, OML. So he supports all of the co-curricular folks in assessing programs. What does our office do? So we are there to support the institution being accredited by our regional accreditation body, which is WASC, the Western Regional Accreditation Body. For all of you, I think this is during the current political times, it's really important to know what's going on. So federally, higher education is kind of governed by the federal government, the state government in different ways, and accreditation bodies, right? So it's a three-pronged kind of oversight of higher education institutions. The accreditation bodies, the way they work is like peer review, which is they set certain common standards, we inform how those standards are created, and then everyone has to adhere to those standards, right? So right now, with the Department of Education going in the direction of we are being dissolved, it means then accreditation bodies are also looking at what's going to happen to their existence. And so in the next few weeks, actually, there is going to be a public comment, which means as a personal individual, you can put in public comment about whether accreditation works or not. Accreditation bodies, again, are oversight bodies that help to ensure that an institution is fiscally responsible, does not engage in duplicity, offers good, strong curricula and programs that are reasonably priced and follows through. So does not, a lot of institutions that go under are often non-accredited institutions because they have, they say, oh, we offer a program, and then students enroll, and then it's like, oh, you're not accredited, and we have collected all of this money, and you have all of this debt, and you have nowhere to go, right? So our office, what we do is we support accreditation and we support continuous improvement on campus. And that continuous improvement is on the co-curricular side of the house, so we support all the efforts of all the units on campus as much as we can, and they ask. And on the academic side of the house, all the majors, so every major that whoever's graduating from, every major department goes through a program review or an accreditation cycle either once every 5, 7, or 10 years. So that means every 5, 7, or 10 years, they take stock of everything that's going on in their department and the programs that they're offering, and they say, what do we need to improve? How does the curriculum need to improve? Are we graduating students? Are they getting employed? Like, do we need to be doing something else? What's the field like? What are our current students saying? Do we need more faculty lines? Do we need more resources? So our office helps support that program review as well, right? So continuous improvement. So we have 2 students who are both graduating this year, Madison Lakritz and Shubham Saxena, and both of them are wonderful, and they do a lot of the assessment work in our office. I just wanted to introduce the team again. Part of my reason for being here is to come into your space and share information, because we're trying to figure out what's the best way to help you know what's happening and how you can then influence process and policy and continuous improvement. So the first big initiative I want to talk to you about, how many of you are seniors here? Okay, so if you can please announce, on Monday you would have got an email from the provost, from James Glasser. It says, can you please help SCU, that's on the next slide I think. But it's a survey that goes out to first years and final years, so we do it only once every 3 years. And it asks a set of questions about your academic and co-curricular experience. And so we use that feedback, and it's a national level survey, so many other institutions take it. And we use the information from the survey. It takes about 15 minutes to complete. We use all of that information, and in the past it has influenced our 2030 strategic plan. How many of you know the 2030 strategic plan? Yes? So NESI influences that. It influences a lot of the belonging work that we do on campus. So it informs a lot of efforts that we then use, because it asks questions like, what was your advising like? Did you have internships? Did you have research opportunities? So it asks you for all of your lived experience in your program and your opinions about your program and outside of it. And that information, then we can say, overall, this is what we found and this is how things can improve. So we have in the past always present, and then in the fall I hope to come back here to the next group to present the findings from the NESI, because the NESI is going on right now. And so these are some of the things. How many of you know the core curriculum? I'm assuming that you all know is being revised. So NESI is again a source of information for folks to say what are things that students really find impactful and how should that shape our curriculum. So please encourage your peers, first years and seniors, to please participate in NESI. I think the first 250 students also get a $10 gift card to Voyager Coffee. So, and NESI also helps inform our university accreditation. So this is a big thing. I think I've talked about all of this. You would have got a Camino notification pop up today to take NESI if you were a senior. And then on Monday, there was this email that came out from the provost. So if you have any questions about NESI before I go on? Yes?
How does, and maybe it doesn't, but how would like the results of this survey fit in with whatever they do with the results of like, the campus climate survey? Like, do they sort of complement each other, or like, how does that happen?
So the climate survey is often something that we design internally. It's run by Inclusive Excellence. It asks mostly different questions, because the climate survey asks nuanced questions about other things. NESI asks about your academic co-curricular experiences. A lot of times what we have done is, for example, there's also once every 2 years, I think we do the National College Health Assessment Survey. So our office, what we do is we try to bring all the surveys together and look at the data to see where there's overlap, and then also see where there's differences, which then, like when there's multiple sources that's telling us the same thing, then it gets higher priority, it gets lifted up in terms of the work that we need to do, and then that gets it, the cabinet makes that decision, we try to influence change. So great question. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So that's NESI. This, if you could, seniors, if you could take out your cell phones right now and scan it, this will take 2 minutes to complete. This is a quantitative reasoning survey. We actually tried to do this with a whole math section. And we found that despite multiple outreach efforts, we had only a 5% response rate. So what we did is we truncated that whole instrument where we did not ask all the math questions. And we're just asking you to reflect on your thinking and your perception of your math and data analysis skills and data consumption skills. So if you could just take 2 minutes, there are 11 questions. It is not an assessment of you, even though we ask you for your ID, it's not meant to be an assessment of you. Quantitative reasoning is one of our six institutional learning outcomes. So we, again, for our accreditors, if we say all graduates of Santa Clara graduate with these skill sets, we have to answer to our accreditors saying, are our students graduating or not? And if we say that they are not, or there's some lapse, then we have to tell our accreditors, this is what we're doing to address it, right? And we have to put in the effort to make sure that that changes and our students are successful. So your feedback on this will help us improve how we design quantitative reasoning curricula, how we design the core curriculum. So there's a lot of ways you can influence change and voice in terms of what academic information you consume as students, right? So please take this survey, and I'm happy to send this QR code if you want to distribute it. Seniors is because it's an institutional learning outcome, we want graduating seniors to tell us like what is our ability, so that then we can say, so seniors believe this, or seniors are demonstrating this, we need to do this better, or we are doing really well here, right? And then that will help shape the curriculum. Any questions about quantitative reasoning? So we have other ILOs as well. The next thing that we wanted to talk about is the assessment office. We're trying to establish, starting next year, a student advisory board. We're calling it U-Skills. We tried SAB, Student Assessment Advisory Board. I think folks landed on this. But it's basically the University Student Committee for Assessment, Learning, Equity, and Success. And this QR code actually gives you the link to the website of the UAC, which is representatives from every school and college and the division on campus who are part of the assessment committee. So we meet once a month for an hour and talk about all the assessment initiatives, what the data is, and bring information from this office to say, hey, did you know For example, that our students are dealing with this challenge and that influences how they perform academically, and so we need to do X. Did you know that our students, this group of students, don't feel a sense of belonging, so we need to do something differently in our curriculum. So we try to make folks talk to each other. And so we are looking for representative students from every school with intersectional identities so that they can bring those multiple lenses. My request is if anyone is interested, again, it's a 1 hour a week commitment for the year, so that would be 10 meetings. We are not meeting every week, so one hour a week, no, 1 hour a month. So we meet once a month. The UAC also meets once a month. So it would be basically 10 meetings, 10 hours during the school year with a little bit of work, homework, like reviewing the agenda, finding out information if there is, so that you can be a good representative of your students. So we're looking for folks to be part of it. And this year, because we are piloting it, again, we are a 2-person office right now, where we're not sending out an application saying, all of you apply and we review. So this first year, the way we're doing it is just saying, the University Assessment Committee has a representative and associate dean from every school. So if any of you are interested, you can either email me and I'll have my contact information saying, hey, I'm interested, I'll represent this school and we can, take you on. Or you can send an email to the UAC representative and say, hey, like for example, for the college, it's Kat Saxton. And so you can say, Professor Saxton, like I would love to be on the student advisory board, and can you please send my name, and that's how we would do it. So we're looking, I think we're going to give a small token honorarium of $250 for folks to participate for those 10 meetings. So that's that, yes.
I just looked on the website, I was just wondering, do you have anyone who's representing business school and if not
So yes, so it used to be Bill Maines, and he has stepped down from the role, so it'll be Scott Amen, and we'll update that by tomorrow. We'll update that. Thank you. But Scott Amen, Denise has moved to CAS, so yes, so Scott would be the person. Yeah. Or you can directly email me. No problem. Yeah. Any other questions for this? Okay, so the other initiatives, and I'll go really quickly. Like I said, every program goes through a program review. Right now, there are 18 departments in the college who are going through program review, where either they are in their first year or second year, where they're saying, what do we need to do around the curriculum? What do we need to do around teaching and learning? What do we need to do? So that happens. So if there are spaces where you find opportunity to influence, this is not there in our curriculum, right? Like being agents of your own learning and having some agency around that, please do so. Like find your department chair, have a conversation, especially if you're graduating. You can say this is not there, and give that feedback. It's really, really valuable. I've also had seniors, because we've been doing existing classrooms where seniors are like, I want to give a lot of feedback, and I'm like, okay, so just send it. Send it just as an email to our office. We will not share your identity, but if we collect that information, we will make sure we can source it to the right channels and say, is this an issue that you're dealing with? Do you need support in improving it, right? So program reviews, and then CI plans are basically continuous improvement plans and reports. Actually, I should put reports there. Every major, so every degree, right, that we offer, so a BA in neuroscience or in public health or in arts, every degree has to do annual assessment of student learning outcomes. So every year, faculty are supposed to be reporting on what did we do to enhance student learning and student success in our programs, right? Again, you have an opportunity to influence change. So when we established the Student Advisory Board, I know that there aren't advisory boards or review boards of students in your respective programs, but the hope is over time, over the next few years, as we have the Student Advisory Board, we can have more and more student voice in terms of what are some issues that are percolating in the curriculum, outside the curriculum, that we can help support. So that's that. There's an exit survey. I think all of y'all get a senior survey, yes? Have some of y'all taken it? Yes. So we're trying to streamline that. I think that will happen only by fall once we get a team member. What are some questions that y'all want to be asked that y'all are not being asked? Are there questions? And I know I'm putting y'all on the spot. Yes?
isn't a question, just formality. I think for one of the ones I filled out, the whole survey is supposed to be anonymous, so because it asks for feedback and everything's like, oh, we're gonna we should have changed that, we didn't do well, and stuff like that. At the end of the survey, it asks if you want to keep in touch with the alumni network, leave your email here. And it's like, so I don't really resist.
Feel that it's going to be anonymous.
Yeah, because I was like, I want to be connected. It's not like if the issues I said wasn't like really big, it was just like minor things.
Yeah.
But I still want to be connected. So it's
Yeah.
like weird. I think structure wise.
Yeah.
Um,
So let me tell you how, so it's different from programs to institutional. At the institutional level, we are very intentional if we say we want your ID or if we don't want your ID, right? We want your ID oftentimes, again, to be able to see if there are themes emerging either by program or by school, or to see if there are themes emerging by major or by race, ethnicity, gender, whatever, like issues that there are trends, so that then we can say there is an issue and something needs to change from the institutional perspective. So any institutional survey, our goal is not to judge you or to find you responsible, and we will never lift up information in ways that can reveal your identity. We will be collecting that information so that we can run analyses that will then tell us there are trends over here that are important that we need to take action on, right? What you're talking about, which is at the program level, if someone's asking, there is some combination of information that's going out to different offices. I am not sure how confidential like that is kept. I think currently the exit surveys are run by, or the senior surveys are run by institutional research. They are also a central office that supports our office. Like we work together quite a bit, and they, like we support them, they support us. So I would think it's confidential. Like it wouldn't go back to your department. But my ask of you is, anytime you give feedback, like don't be worried that you're going to get into trouble for it. As someone who has been through the higher education system here, I think feedback is really valuable, especially you're paying it forward to future students, right? So long as you can offer your feedback in constructive ways and say, this can be improved, and this can be improved, and this can be improved, I would consider X, right? I think it's always valuable for folks to hear that feedback while you maintain good relationships with your faculty members. So it's not going to impact it shouldn't impact a recommendation letter, it shouldn't impact your academic standing at all in any way. Yeah? If you start naming faculty members, then you may, if your survey is not confidential, where it's going back to whoever, from our side it will always be confidential, right? But if a survey is sent from your program and you're naming people, then with those people you may, if they chance upon the data, we don't know. So you may want to say that I've had these kinds of experiences in the program, so I would encourage faculty development in this area, or something like that. Yeah, that was a long answer for probably a short question. But confidentiality, everyone is required to maintain confidentiality. And we ask for that information to give your emails to alumni services to stay in touch. Any other questions? Okay, HIPS project. We're trying, y'all do internships. There are 11, possibly even 13 high impact practices on campus. You do research, you do internships. You do research, you do internships, you do study abroad, you do service learning, right? And so all of those are considered high impact practices. You do written projects, collaborative projects. So there's research in the field about all of these types of learning which have high impact on students and build your sense of belonging and support your success in the future. We're trying to collate and document all of that together across campus to be able to say, X person, can you give me a name? Allison. Allison had, at Santa Clara, Allison, or 80 students in business program, or 90% of business students had like 8 high impact practices. So that's the value of a Santa Clara education, right? This is a very tough endeavor because we have to connect with you all to figure out if you go and work on your own or do internships on your own outside of through the Career Center, we have to figure out ways to track it. If you do research on your own and it's not like a course that you have enrolled for, we have to track it. So I just wanted again to let you know if any of you are interested in working on a project like this, please reach out. All of this information is, if you are interested, if you know of anyone who's interested or wants to impact change, please reach out. We're happy to support. The gratitude assessment day, it's on May 6th, and you'll be receiving an email either tomorrow or on Monday. May 6th from noon to 2. The first week of May is considered Teacher Appreciation Week, and given the context of today's climate and environment, we are trying to spread some intentional joy and fun because everything is a little heavy and tough for all of us. And so I'm inviting, please consider this a personal invitation, and the email invitation will come, where we are doing a bake-off. It's going to be faculty, staff, students, everyone against each other, whoever signs up for the bake-off. We will have an assessment rubric, so we'll all get to assess. We're also going to do a Bronco feud, where it's going to be students against faculty, staff. So if you'd like to participate, again, we want to have it fun, be joyful. And so we welcome you. We are hoping that senior level leadership will come, faculty and staff will come. We want to recognize some folks who have been doing really good continuous improvement work. So please, May 6th, it's in the mission room from noon to 2, if you're available. The next 3 bullet points are questions for you. We would like to support, if there is interest, some learning around information literacy and civic engagement. So this year we are assessing quantitative reasoning. Next year we have to assess information literacy of students who are graduating. We also have to assess their diversity, social justice, diversity, and global engagement learning outcome. So we have, on May 13th, we finished with NESI. NESI, one of the elements we are asking in NESI this year is about the opportunities to learn about civic engagement. That's one of the modules that we have opted for, along with first year and senior experience. So if you are interested and if there is need, we're happy, Educational Assessment is happy to partner with you all to, if we want to do like a screening of a documentary, so maybe like John Lewis, Good Trouble. So that's one for civic engagement, or for information literacy, there's that Netflix one, which is Social Dilemma, so not social networks, but Social Dilemma. So we're open to some kind of partnership where we want to, again, bring faculty, staff, and students together for conversations around topics that are meaningful. So I don't know what the process is for you all to think about it, but feel free to reach out again if you want to do something. Or if you tell me, yes, now let's plan it outside of this meeting, and I'm happy to say, yay, okay, let's move forward. But we've reserved the mission room from 12 to 2 for that day, and we're happy to provide lunch and support learning and kick off like the next year's learning outcomes, right? Assessment. And then I'll be really quick about the last 3. So in fall, we did this thing called where a lot of times assessment, it feels like we keep collecting data and you don't hear back about what was done with that data. So we want to keep pushing out, like, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. So we did a co-creation action effort in fall for Latinx student experiences, and that conversation was really powerful. The students who participated, it was a lot of sharing. And in that conversation, 3 issues that were coming up got kind of resolved, or there was some kind of solutioning around that. And then thereafter, all of that information was sourced to the HSI working group to be able to influence recommendations as well, right? So if there are any initiatives where you feel there are pressing issues, we've talked about this a billion times, but we want now like to co-create action so that we're not just collecting data again and again about it. We want to figure out what is the solution. We'd be happy to partner with you again and support that endeavor. So the last 2 are basically, do you have projects, initiatives, either for this year, I know though it's the last quarter, many of you are graduating, or as you go forth into the coming year that you want to focus on, or you want educational assessment support. Please let us know. And with that, I think that's basically all of it. Oh yeah, this was for the few, we're asking first years some questions. So I want to, don't take that survey if you're not a,
Thank you.
Any questions, any thoughts, any opportunities for collaboration? Yes.
I just want to say on the slide before last, when you were on your global engagement point, when you mentioned that documentary, The Social Dilemma,
Yeah.
as a movie, I
AI, right? And especially as we go into more and more conversations, like we politically, nationally, and in higher education, we are at the intersection of AI possibly replacing certain job levels, certain fields. So, and then higher education, it's like, what's the value of higher education? Yes, there is career, but it's also like good citizenship, and what does that mean to have healthy work-life balance, and how do you know yourself? So it's also that personal learning and growth. And then there is the dismantling of structures and resources and lived students' experiences. So thank you for that. Yes, sorry.
I've been having some conversations with members of the administration and the Form Curriculum Revision Committee around trying to figure out how to better emphasize empathy within our curriculum and our academic experiences. And so I would love to talk to you at some point about how I can work with your office to do so.
Anytime. We just need to set up a meeting time and then figure out. So I'm part of the advisory board of the curriculum committee. So the revision committee is a group, and then there's an advisory board of that group. So we are waiting to be called on, and we're happy to have those conversations. We also have an opportunity to influence institutional learning outcomes, which is what do all students of Santa Clara, what are the institutional outcomes that they should graduate with? Is it quantitative reasoning and critical thinking and communication, or is it something else? Like, you know, and that doesn't have to go through the whole process that the core revision is going through. Look forward to it. Any other? Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for what you all do. So, yeah, and good luck and congratulations for those graduating. Good luck in your careers.
Keep it brief, just, you know, an overview of maybe like something I'll start as an example. Honestly, I think a lot of the start of my quarter has been dedicated to Slum Walk. But for the rest of the quarter, I'll be kind of continuing a lot of that same work in terms of reproductive health on campus and pushing for that. And then Mercedes and I have our medical intimacy thing, which I think should be wrapped up hopefully by the end of the month, if not sometime in May. And yeah, those are like the main plot points of my quarter. So yeah.
So there was supposed to be a resolution following the open letter addressing xenophobia, but there's already been a lot of conversations with admin surrounding that, so I don't think there's any need. And there's talks about it being one of the topics for diversity. And that was kind of the goal. So yeah, but I'm working on SAC stuff.
I'm going to be starting that some of the executive board panels, and then in fall quarter, which always we're talking about the DPI to comfort, and that kind of really also this transition period. So me and Berg are going to start transitioning and just go through like
on deck meeting, so staff members in every OSL office come together. And they did a panel with the three of us to talk about the experience in Santa Clara and ways that OSL can support. So that includes residents like campus safety, wellness center, CABs, like that's all under OSL. So it's really great to get to talk to them and get to have a bit more of a broader conversation. CSI was there too, so shout out. And then I rescheduled from last quarter. I'm going to be on the OML's Word on the Street podcast, talking about, I don't know, being gay in Santa Clara, so I'm pretty excited about that. And yes, those are the primary two, and I've already had a couple people from OSL reach out following that panel, so I think that'll guide the rest of my time and my term.
Nice. So this quarter I'll be hosting sexual violence workshops with the YWCA. I don't know if you guys have heard of them. They're basically an organization in the area that tries to spread awareness about sexual violence and how to know if you're in a sexually violent relationship. And having workshops with those, so that'll be happening soon. I'm also working with Claire on increasing reproductive health accessibility. I actually wrote a resolution today about it, but I will be, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm sure, yeah, I'll be tailing that until like some more logistical stuff is figured out. Then just kind of outside of ASG, I'm doing something that's going to be taking like a lot of my time this whole year, so if I'm in ASG next quarter, you guys will definitely be hearing from it. I don't like spoilers. Keep you guys in your toes.
I am working through the rest of the series of the panels on executive orders. 3 left, so marketing, organizing, making sure everyone's getting questions, running it. Mary and I are also working on a basic needs ambassador program. The 2 of us will be going to as many CCW and CNI classes as we can to talk about every single basic needs offering that we have here at SCU. And we are also trying to find a way to design a more permanent position so that that doesn't just happen this year but continues to happen, with the hope that we can get to the first year class so that they know about the resources for the rest of their time at Santa Clara, and so that we can help with the destigmatization process on campus as well. And then I'm also starting to dip my toes into the empathy thing that I was talking about. That's like very bare bones, probably going to take like years, but figuring that out.
So I've been working on the laundry, like accessibility for people, but we're trying to make the prices lower. But I think we're still in negotiation, so hopefully it will be lower. But we're also working on making like laundry supplies accessible for everyone. So hopefully like there'll be a laundry shelf in one of the dorms where people got like Swig right now, and hopefully like you can like switch out like laundry supplies like a share shelf, or just like people at the end of the quarter can donate their supplies. And then when you come in for the next year, there'll be supply stock.
This weekend, I'm actually finishing up with the presentations about sexual assault awareness and advocacy to the fraternities off campus. And so I think we've done 7 or 9 total, which has been pretty cool. So those presentations are about consent, rape culture, Greek life and rape culture, and then what fraternities can do to prevent sexual assault and how to respond when it does happen. Finals week, we launched Mercedes also tabled outside the library, which is a lot of fun, with the Forge Garden. And 3 of us have been working on some other stuff too, with like library safety. And Bosch and I have been working on some stuff with Rose Bam, he's spearheading and I'm a part of. And then looking forward, Denim Day is at the end of this month, which is April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and Denim Day is a holiday at the end of the month just to like commemorate survivors. So I'm working on that.
I'm working on an initiative to change the textbook program services here a little bit. So there is a textbook buyback program that we have with Barnes & Nobles, because Barnes & Nobles supplies all our textbooks. And to be honest, I didn't really know much about it. A lot of my friends didn't really know much about it. I just kind of, and I know we're not the only ones that don't think have a lot of awareness. I feel like textbooks are so expensive, so I actually didn't mean to talk to you, Sarah. but, or Sophia, sorry, about promoting that more, and then also looking at a lot of schools. One school that I know Ryan kind of got to talk to at the conference, and I know UC Davis also offers just like a flat fee, where you can get all your required course materials, it's usually quarter by quarter, semester by semester, and it's cool because you can opt in and opt out. Some of us don't really need that many textbooks, so I'm also starting that, and then also medical aid this school farm.
Well, beginning of this school year and mostly last quarter, with UVO, we were working to increase the post office hours. That kind of failed. We really tried our best, but a week ago we were told that we kind of like proposed like a pilot program where it would be open. I believe it was 1 day every week for like a bit longer, and that didn't work out. So hopefully we can like come up with something else that or try to like make it easier for students to access the post office, especially when they have like class times and such. As well, I'm working with the panels, as it was already mentioned. Please, if you know of anyone or if you're interested, please come and promise. It's super worth it. It's highly informational. I think it's very needed. And if you don't think it applies to you, it might apply to someone that you know. And if you can help, please spread the word. And as well, I guess I'll be working with Claire to help me meet with the housing people, as I would like to kind of revise the policies that neighborhood units have and villas when it comes to moving out. Ideally, they would like have to move out later, but that's not what's happening right now, so I will work on that.
Yeah, right now I've been working on the housing committee thing with Santa Gloria and Dr. Duncan, but I haven't been getting like too much response right now, so I'm thinking also of like some other ways that I can bring up like specific examples to them. So I know there was like a tentative town hall or something for housing and stuff like that, but I think it kind of fell through. So maybe making one of those again and making sure there's like publicity and stuff for that. And then outside of that, also working within SAC with, I know we're doing trying to get some surveys up about, I know the one I'm working on is about how like we have some extra money right now, and so like ways that clubs would use it and to sort of like invest in their club, like supplies and stuff that they would have for years, and so how we can help them kind of not have to be reliant on like month to month or quarter to quarter money, is like how they can invest sort of.
I've been working with the VTA for the BART extension project as a student advisor. It's been like quarterly meetings and then a couple of emails weekly, and then apart from that, with SAC, the same thing is surveys. So what I'm going to be doing is asking why they're not using money that's been allocated to them, and then also work on other things that SAC's been doing, like the arts or resource fair.
I think my input is important to one of the reasons I actually joined SG is because my freshman year there was this initiative that the school actually did, the student life office, which had wristbands, and on one side it said, tell me about your day, and on the other side it says, sorry if I can do it, ask me about my day. And the idea is it would just increase conversations about mental health within the South Park population. And I know it really did with the guys that I was close to my freshman year, so I thought it would be super cool if we sort of reopened it, because I think it's sort of faded away, but the effects are still felt. So I spoke to Phoebe Rosenberger, I think a few weeks ago now, and she gave us like a remaining bag which had like 100, 120 still in it, so I gave it to my fraternity chapter, the guy who's working with them now, which is really cool. But I think for this quarter, I think Charlie Angus had told her soon and sort of talk a little bit about how we can expand the road up, and then we change what's on both sides as well. So if anyone's got any idea or wants to get involved, please do. I think it can be a really, really cool push and something for all the venues to do.
Yeah, last quarter I was mainly focused on trying to get more research and funding for the engineering school. Given the political climate, that's kind of been a whole mess, and a lot of that's up in the air, and so that's kind of come to a stop. This quarter has been, all of my attention's kind of been on my senior design project, so I haven't really done a whole lot there, and that's going to probably continue for the next couple weeks until that's done and completed, but yeah, I've been trying to keep my ears open for other issues that are going on in the engineering school, but people aren't super vocal about that stuff, and a lot of things aren't things that we can really help with, so it's been kind of a hard balance in that regard, but yeah.
This quarter, I'm still brainstorming a lot of different projects that I'm interested in. Some may be too ambitious for what I'm capable of doing, but two projects that I feel particularly passionate about are my textbook and syllabus initiative as well as my FlexPoint initiative. My first initiative, the textbook and syllabus one, would be focused on urging professors to list textbooks and materials and their cost on workday while students are registering for classes, so students can plan or buy cheaper used versions if they need to. My second initiative is aimed at exploring the expansion of FlexPoints, usability to additional restaurants around the DC community. I'll have a meeting with school admin later on how much of this I can actually achieve and if and how far I should try to achieve this. But I'm hoping I can hopefully give students more dining options and definitely increase engagement with the local SCU community and small businesses. In addition, regarding FlexPoints, right before I went to this meeting, my roommate Tucker said a big concern is the affordability of laundry here, and he wrote down like the math for me, like if you for every week you're here, if you do one load of laundry, that's like $144, and for people like him who have like 2 loads of laundry, that's almost $300 or sometimes even more than $300, which is a very big cost many students don't think about. And he told me right before I go that maybe we should think about doing something like that. So I feel like that's what passion.
Jacob is still working on some of the same stuff as last quarter, and I think trying to collaborate with Mateo on a lot of the stuff that he's working on. Just the only update I have.
It's been said many times tonight, and I'm going to say it again. We've been working very, very hard on these panels and executive orders. Again, the next one is next Tuesday, 5:30 to 7:30. It would mean so much to us if you could come. Shout out Carmen, shout out Nina, shout out Savani, shout out like Irish members who came last time. It meant a lot to us. But yeah, we worked really hard. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on for the next couple weeks, just like keeping seeing through, getting all the rooms set up, getting all the food, getting everything, marketing the hell out of them. But yeah, that's what I'm working on for the next couple weeks, and what I've been working on. And then just like more updates on like post office. The one kind of success we were able to have was at least they did say they decreased significantly the time from when they receive the package to when you get the notification, which is going to be especially helpful for students who like see the notification like Friday afternoon, Friday like evening, and then don't have time to get to the post office. So they did reduce that time, which is good. And then they have like reported improvements on their end from the data that they collected. Like they found that like students are coming earlier in the day, for example. Like they've reduced that like really long line. I don't have like a personal account because I'm not on campus anymore, like using the post office, but they did say that they have some improvements in terms of that. So anyways, yeah, that's what I've been working on, what I'm working on.
So I'm working on this big arts event with one of my friends, and we haven't come up with the title yet, but it's basically the idea of arts and advocacy being intertwined, and how in atmospheres of political strife and instability like we're in right now, coming together as a community and doing grassroots organization is one way we can feel like we have more control and actually make a difference. And so my friend and I are trying to get the bands together, and we're going to reach out to some local artists, San Jose, San Francisco, to hopefully come sell their prints and get their artwork out there as well. We're still trying to figure out like the political messaging, but the main heart of the event is that art and advocacy, they really are intertwined. And so we wanted to present the school with this fun opportunity to look at some amazing art and also feel like, hey, I'm in like a supportive community and I can make even a little difference by being here. So if you guys are interested, we're doing some team building for a security team, because we need to worry about that, unfortunately. And then also like finding local artists as well, doing some outreach, and also reaching out to the school band if any of you have ties. So yeah, that's my big project.
For me, so in terms of staff, I'm helping with the resource fair and just like finding departments that can be helpful for the new RSOs and the previous RSOs. And then last week at Senate, I mentioned the incident that I witnessed in the cellar. And basically, just to sum it up, there was bullying of the workers and then also theft that happened. So I'm looking into writing a resolution on theft and just like resources that we can offer to students. So I'm planning on meeting with faculty from the dining hall committee and then also like this student store. Yeah. And also, I mentioned this last quarter that I wanted to work on the silent disco for like the end of the quarter.
Yeah, I think SAC has spoken for itself in a lot of the projects that we've been doing. I've just been involved in a lot of those, just sort of coordinating with people, coordinating with staff, as well as the upcoming sort of PSO fair presentation is going to be really exciting to see. In terms of like projects outside of my committee, I've been kind of dipping my toes into, I noticed when I was looking at archives that there was like there was an old ASG flyer that was like how to start at SEU or like a guide how to SEU or something like that. And so I think it'd be really great if we had something like that for next year, as well as a sort of wristband, so maybe we can work on that. Just sort of being able to sort of provide information to new students, as well as sort of just put ASG's name out there so that people recognize that we are doing things and we're being effective.
I think for generally like CEC, one thing that we're trying to work on is we wanted to do something for like Earth Day. So essentially what we wanted to do was we wanted to like have like a table of sorts, and we can like hand out like cards with recipes that you can make with plants from like the Forge Garden, like partnering with Forge Garden. And we also wanted to partner with MCC on that, because we wanted to get a lot of the cultural clubs best like plant-based recipes. So we wanted to like, Jalissa like suggested the idea, and we really wanted to like work on something like that. And then Mateo and I are continuing to work on the ASG newspaper column. Another one's due Monday. So if everyone can get me their newspaper, like whatever they want in the newspaper by Saturday night, that would be great. And then also, another thing that I was kind of thinking of this week, but I haven't really put too much plan into it yet, is potentially getting a sort of like day where like we can bring a lot of like Catholic schools on the East Bay to like Santa Clara to kind of like tour it and check it out. Because one thing that I've like personally like experienced and stuff like that is I only have like one friend who's like from the East Bay, but I have like 20 million bajillion friends who go to like, who went to like Bellarmine and like a lot of like the feeder schools that are like really close by to the area. But I think there's a lot of like schools on the East Bay, like Murrow, Bishop O'Dowd, and Carondelet, who especially have like pretty high like minority populations. If we want to like increase like minority populations as well, I know that was one of the things we were talking about kind of like last quarter, and like getting a lot of these students to like be more interested in Santa Clara and show Santa Clara, or show them that Santa Clara is interested in them. So potentially having like an East Bay like Catholic school day of sorts, like Diocese of Oakland stuff. But I don't know, that's it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys.
Taking the notes every week.
The attendance form will
All right. We kind of threw joke. You don't have to do that. So, okay. I thought, basically Jeannie said, can you guys talk about it in Senate? And I said, of course we can. So, that's what we're gonna do. We're just gonna have like a little bit of a discussion. It can really go in whatever direction, but I do think that, I mean, at least from my perspective, I've been hearing like more and more interest on like the admin side of like, oh, what is Fizz? How does that affect students? What type of, you know, what type of rhetoric is on there? How can we maybe like mitigate some of the negative effects and stuff like that? So I don't know. I don't know if Ryan can jump in if he wants to as well. But yeah, one thing we talked about this morning. Oh yeah.
Wait, you can finish.
Okay, I was just gonna say one thing we talked about this morning was I think all of us students in the meeting felt like Fizz is primarily used by underclassmen right now. Maybe upperclassmen like have it on their phones, but I don't personally know a ton of people that like are actively on Fizz or using Fizz. Yeah, that's one thing. Did you have something? Yeah.
Yeah, so like a lot of the issues are liability wise. There were a lot of incidents during Lead Week, and Lori was responsible for meditating a lot of those issues. And it's kind of unfair to have that fall on admin. And they were also talking about like private schools have like gone around like banning it on like their internet and things like that. But then we noticed that just other like copycat apps just pop up. So there's like short-term solutions for it, but I think Jeannie just wanted us to like discuss if anyone has any like ideas, just like a long-term solution, just to discuss this.
Yeah. And yeah, I think like Ryan said, it's kind of like from our perspective, there's no like technical solution. Again, that's something we can talk about in a second. But you know, there's Flock, there's Fizz, there's Yik-Yak, there's 10 other apps that are the exact same thing. There's even Instagram. You could easily have the same thing, but just like an Instagram page. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to just like the environment at Santa Clara and like, wanting to decrease like why do we have students who would say harmful things on the app in the first place, and why does that get upvoted and not reported? That type of thing. So yeah, I'll open it up. We can get started. I'll go launch the page.
I'd say, I think Fizz like culture-wise for our student community is actually just a big negative, and I'd be really eager to like hear some of the sides against that. But for me, like I haven't really had it since my freshman year, because I found when I was on the app, I started feeling part of my freshman really shitty about school, in the sense that people just go on there and complain, and instead of taking a to be grateful about the amazing campus and school that we go to with all the resources we have, it seems like it just becomes like a bit of a negative echo chamber. So I know it's not entirely helpful take in terms of like how do we technically solve that, how do we make it positive place. Any anonymous app ever is going to have an outpouring of negative information. Unhappy people go on it. But yeah, I'd be keen to hear others' perspectives on it as well.
Yeah, thank you. Charlie?
Yeah, I agree. I think on Fizz, what's unfortunate is that you can defame anybody, and then once one thing gets out on the internet, it's like that's all people will talk about, and I've seen it ruin people's lives, like literally, because they have something posted about them on Fizz, and then like that's like their reputation or something, and it's like not even true. So I think that that's obviously harmful, because when you have technology with zero repercussions, then people can say whatever they want, and they do, unfortunately. So I wonder if, like I agree with what Ryan said and what you were saying, Claire, like if we get rid of Fizz, something else is just gonna pop up. So I don't know if that's like directly the solution, but if there's some way of holding people accountable of what they do post, like I don't know how Fizz, the behind the scenes of it works, but if you post something that is deemed harmful or like gets flagged down, I'm wondering if there's a way that like you could eventually find like that student like who posted it, so like, there is kind of not outward accountability, but there could be accountability if needed, because I think that would probably have people attached to what I'm posting, if it ended up finding out, would I still post it?
Right. I agree with both of those points, especially Charlie when you said like if we get rid of it, like 2 more apps that do the exact same thing are gonna pop up. I personally know students who moderate for the app, and I know that student moderation is something they actually tend to have on Fizz, so I think it might be more worthwhile to invest energy in keeping that app going as long as students have more moderation power over it than a different app that people have no power whatsoever over what's being posted. And I'm pretty sure you have to sign up with your school email and be like you have to have an su.edu, right?
Yeah.
And at least from what my friends who are moderators have said, which is only 2 people, but like I trust their word, like they can see who posts stuff, but it's like confidential. But I'm sure there's a way to work around that if it's genuinely harming someone. So I feel like it's worthwhile to figure out student moderation.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. That's
I think like also like the stuff that's being posted on Fizz is like kind of speaks to like the deeper culture at Santa Clara. Cause I think like I personally don't have Fizz, but I have a friend who downloaded Fizz just to like see what's on there. Like he doesn't like necessarily write anything on Fizz, he just like likes to see like what's being posted and stuff like that. And from what he's shown me like on the app and stuff like that, like I've seen stuff that's like blatantly like racist, homophobic, sexist, like the whole gamut. And like kind of going off of like Samya and like what she experienced like in the cellar and stuff like that with that worker, I think it just speaks to like there's a culture of like certain people on campus that unfortunately believe what they believe that saying certain things to certain groups of people are okay, and some of them even think it's like funny or like cool or like with it to say that, and it just like speaks to like the general culture. So I think like I don't know, I think like Santa Clara does have a decent amount of like initiatives like admin wise to like kind of tell people that like it's not okay, but I think like if fellow students created a culture telling people or other students that like it wasn't okay, I think that would kind of reach harder to those students than admin telling them that. So yeah.
I agree with what I think very true, very important points. Thank you.
First off, I know that there's every single quarter like a really big cycle of hate against LEAD because they have priority registration. The same hate is not extended to athletics or to honors, so very race-based there. Maybe it's like my lack of legal understanding, but I wonder if because there's that component of having to use your SCU email to log into the platform in the first place, whether the school has any kind of capacity to throw their weight in terms of like saying you can't like use one of our like something associated with our institution to then like create an anonymous login system to this platform that then spreads all of this hate and has a negative impact back on our campus. Again, out of my wheelhouse, but I do wonder. I also know I was talking over this weekend in faculty connection queue with someone from UMC, and I know that they're also looking into it. I don't know if they and OSL have connected at all or not, or doing it independently, but in case Jeannie happens to not know, it might be a good thing for her to know.
Is what you're proposing like is to get rid of his? I'm confused as to like what we're talking about.
Yeah, more so just like a discussion about experiences, not necessarily to find a specific solution, but I think that admin just want to hear like more student perspectives as to like how students feel about it, what's going on from a student perspective. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Connor?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the reason why it's like an underclassmen sort of app too is because it's just like when you're a freshman and stuff, you're curious about all the culture and stuff, and you want to see all these videos, and like sometimes there's like genuinely funny things on there about like what happened on campus and like if you missed it or whatever. But then there are cases where like I've literally had a friend who like somebody spread a fake rumor about her on Fizz, and then it got back to her parents like super warm and like super exaggerated, and and it wasn't even her. And then also like getting threats and stuff based off of that. So, yeah, I think it's definitely just like when you have something so anonymous like that, there is like a dangerous component. So I think the idea of like student moderation is a good one. And I think maybe just having like the culture of like, I know like how there's like, what is it, like, some is sort of like Instagram page where like it's more of a culture of like sending videos through something that's less anonymous or something, then people can watch it go from somewhere else. Like I know how there's like Barstool and stuff like that. And then maybe just emphasizing that to freshmen instead of like, because that's like kind of like a Reddit in a way where it's like so anonymous and stuff like that. Maybe it's like, oh, we'll send all the videos here and everyone will just follow this Instagram page which has all the fun videos on.
Right. Yeah. Which like I think a benefit to that is, I mean with Fizz you just write whatever you want and you click your button and it's posted. Whereas with that it's like there's a layer where before anything's even posted there could be like a team that's like, oh, yeah, this is funny and harmless, or oh, that's, you know, that's homophobic, that's racist, that's sexist. So yeah, thank you. Cease.
To kind of like bring in some perspective on why I feel like so many students still use it, I personally don't. I have people really close to me that rely on it for their news. Like, if there's a party going on, unfortunately, I did have it freshman year, like at the beginning, and I ended up deleting it after my source of news of this student who passed away in one of the dorms here, died devastated. It was really sad. That was my way of finding that out, and I deleted it right after. But there's still students that rely on this as their news source, and it's like kind of sad, and it feels very, I don't know. I'm just like, it's disgusting, but there's people that genuinely rely on it for their social livelihood. And that's not the case for everyone, but that's just the main way that I've seen a lot of people use it. So I think student moderation is really great, and I really have nothing like substantial to say other than that's just a perspective.
Yeah. No, I think that that's a good point because I think that also raises the fact that like even if you know you just have it on your phone and let's say we'll be checking every Friday or Saturday night just to see what's up, see what's going on, and then you know even then you know you're gonna see other posts like you're not just gonna see the select ones that you want to see. So yeah, thank you. Do you have something?
I think mine is more technical in a way.
That's okay. Yep.
So sometimes I see that there are 2,500, 3,000 uploads or something like that, which I don't really think is realistic. So I think if on an administration level, if a CU starts speaking to Fizz before anything substantial happens, so that then they have to speak in a way that they can ask for a culture where banning is allowed and no bots are allowed, because it is very common for these kind of apps to like use AI bots to keep posting messages that are common with the topic that's been going on around, right? And then I think on a deeper technical level, making sure that the bunch of institutions that are there connected with this actually question them what's going on behind, because they have, on a legal term at least, they're using their SCU and .edu IDs, right? So they are also liable in such ways.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point because, yeah, I mean, I was looking at the like Fizz Instagram today and then I saw things like 2,000 upvotes. Now that I'm thinking about it, I just like highly doubt that like, you know, that's like 1 in 3 undergrads like liked whatever post that was. So yeah, I think that's good. And that, yeah, it's just entirely necessary. Yeah.
I just have a question for Gracie or anyone else who knows anything about the moderation process. I'm just wondering, like, do you know, like, how soon after something harmful would get posted? Would it, like, is there a review process? Like, are they allowed to take something down right away? Like, or how long could it stay up before, I don't know how any of this works.
I really don't know. I don't think there's a set number. I think it's just as many people as they can approve, because I don't know if it's, I really don't know. But I can have those conversations, and you said Jeannie was the one that brought up. Yeah, I can talk with that person and then reach out to you. That should be.
Yeah. I think that's a good question too. 3 days and then someone sees, oh, that's really offensive.
Yeah, it's done its damage.
Yeah.
I just looked at like Viz moderation policies on their website. All of their moderators are trained through a trusted safety team that they have. The students are hand selected to apply moderation based on their good behavior and active involvement. So they're like reached out to usually to be moderators, and then they're added to the team. It is only after incentive selection and the training process that they enable moderating powers. They are allowed to directly remove content from the feed and vote on whether content reported by users should be voted. No one moderator can ever unilaterally make the content decision, and the central Viz team always has the final say. So usually students at SU actually don't have the final say. They can vote for it to be sent to the Viz team. Yeah, but like again, we're one of 250 schools that use Viz, so like it's kind of hard to say. It also says that they use AI to remove about 75% of offending content before it even goes up to students' feeds. I'll keep reading them. And I'll let you know. There's also punishment for repeat offenders. So people will be, the user is banned from the community, they are banned for life. But again, Viz doesn't actually like check your actual SU. Like you can put in any front part of it. It doesn't have to be your real name.
Yeah.
You just add SU.edu to the end. I know tons of administrators on campus who actually have Viz on their phone. So like they don't actually look to see if you are like a real student here. They just check your last 6 letters of whatever email you put in to see if it's SU.edu.
And you don't have to do like an email verification.
I don't believe so.
What's the point?
Most apps like that with their college base just want you to like see if you're go to that school.
Other comments, questions?
I think also like when it comes to like the whole entire like accountability with Viz and everything, I think like if the moderators know like who the people who like did the offensive comments are, if they could potentially like alert administration afterwards about that, and if potentially how I'm thinking of it is like a lot of these people who say a lot of this stuff, like no matter, kind of how I mentioned how like there's a culture of like there's a culture of like racism and homophobia and sexism within certain people on campus. I think realistically, if we were to give people like presentations on it, on why you shouldn't say certain things, and like tell them that you shouldn't do this, and tell them that you shouldn't do that, some people might change, but there's also other people who simply won't change no matter how much we try to tell them that it's wrong. So I think in order to prevent like bullying to the point to where, I'm thinking of it as like bullying to the point to where students might potentially like either want to drop out of the university or potentially like end their life kind of. Like, I think there should be a sort of fear factor to people who are thinking of like doing stuff like that, like commenting stuff like that, by like kicking them out kind of, like expelling them from the school kind of, and like moderators like alerting the administration of that.
Yeah, I think a lot of the issues we're discussing are kind of paralleled on Twitter. If you consider both like the anonymity aspect as well as the fact that, you know, with the way that Viz works with like uploads, a lot of the times there's not even incentive to say like, you know, good or positive things. There's incentive to say things that are controversial, that are, you know, rude and stuff that gets engagement because, you know, people say, oh, I got a bunch of upvotes, look at me, I'm big. I think that there's sort of two sort of routes that I kind of consider in my mind. One of them is the fact that I know that Viz is not the best, but I do think that there is some alternative that could be worked that could potentially have the sort of moderation features we're looking at. But the way to actually promote that would be to actually like have some sort of development from like RSOs and CSOs. I know that there was that app that Ryan made a while ago where it's like RSOs and like CSOs can like register and like post news and stuff in there. So that kind of adds to the news aspect, is that if we have like actual channels and official things that are going through whatever platform is being used, then people aren't going to download Fizz, and people aren't going to download that. And we still enable that sort of same conversational features, etc. I'm not saying that anyone should code an app. I mean, I'm fairly certain something like that probably exists somewhere. But yeah, something else I wanted to also mention is like, again, kind of like paralleling Twitter, you know, the people who are actually, you know, like good-hearted people who actually recognize like the shit that's going on there are the people who are leaving, which ends up creating even more issues because it just becomes a hotbed of the people who are, you know, radicalized or racist or in that sort of space, if that makes any sense. Yeah. But I guess my point to that is to say that if we're trying to like stay on Fizz, then maybe the thing is that we need to get on Fizz to sort of promote the counterculture. I mean, even if you look at like the league situation that happened, I saw my friend's phone on Fizz, like there were a lot of people sort of like defending that, that were sort of like calling people out for what they were saying. And I think that's important to be there. You know, moderation can only do so much when, you know, I'm sure they're paid or something like that, but they can't, these things on Fizz get popular, like 1 hour later it might have like 1,000 upvotes. You know, 24 hours later no one's even looking at it anymore. Which kind of limits what moderation can actually do unless you have like a full like paid team 24 hours on the clock.
I was just gonna say that a few days ago, a resident in my building came up to me and showed me that a girl who lost her ID got doxxed on Fizz. Like she dropped her ID, someone took a picture of it, like innocently being like, is this anyone's ID? If you know, let me know, and I can drop it off. And then a few posts above it with a picture of her house from Zillow. And so while we talk a lot about like the intentional harm, like what happens with lead and things that are racist and stuff like that, this one was like so random and maybe not they didn't mean to. They didn't dox her to be your off or something, because like this was not someone the person whose ID was leaked was not like a member of a marginalized community, but just like these immature acts of underclassmen can have lasting effects. Not maybe like no one is gonna go to her house or something, or whatever. Who cares if her house is worth like X amount of dollars? That's not important. But what's important is that this person's address, like place of residence, whether or not something happens to her or to her house or whatever, is online for public consumption. And I don't think Fizz like gets rid of things. Like it just stays there if you scroll down enough. So what if like in a few years something happens to her, like someone who scrolled back far enough can find her house? And I think that's like, yes, we should safeguard against intentional acts of harm, but stuff like stupid 8, 19-year-olds whose brains aren't fully developed, I feel like that's a little scarier, but because it's so thoughtless, but so dangerous.
I think that's just the hard thing is that it's not our app. It's just like we were trying to control it. Like if all these things like all of a sudden went to Instagram, like something we can do to like the point of like reporting to the school on this website too, so that they will specifically not like be in contact with any educational institution. Again, we're one of 250 schools that are on Fizz, and the only way they'll give your information or post to a school is if the school has subpoenaed it in court. So the only way Fizz is committed to giving your information is if it's subpoenaed in the law. Like, so I think that's just hard because like there's nothing in the reality sense of like we can all say we want to get rid of the app, but 40 students compared to the amount of students that use it and the amount of bandwidth that Fizz uses to market an app to a student body, they have a lot more resources because they're a private company. The school can't tell them no. I think that's just the sad thing about it. Is the reality, like we can't say no to them.
Okay, well, if other people have comments, we can talk about it, we can read about it. I think like Jeannie would be happy to read about it. I know Matthew Duncan, senior students, is like interested in kind of exploring this too. So yeah, just reach out. Announcements. yeah, really, like I was saying earlier, a protest is not a protest without, the people that show up. So, we're gonna have like sign making, the walk itself is at 2 or 2:15-ish. We're gonna have like chalk, you can write things, you can, yeah, really just, I would love to see you there, even outside of your tabling hours, if it would mean something to me, so, yeah. And then I think the other thing I wanted to say, along the same kind of vein is, please do show up to the executive order panels. Yeah, they're super informational, and your fellow senators have put a lot of good work into it. And so, even, they might be at a hard time for you. I know I can't personally make it to the Tuesday ones, but even if you are only able to show up for one, like, just show up to it. Or even if you're only able to show up for an hour, just go for an hour, sit, have a bite of food, and like learn something. It means something in terms of, supporting like the projects of our organization, but also it is very educational. So, yeah, I think that's all for me for now. Yeah, round 2 remarks. Great time.
I just have a question, is PSO fair next week or?
So, PSO fair is week 5, and then voting will be week 6.
Okay, and then I have one more thing, info sessions start next week, so if you're running for an elected position, which is Pres VP, Senate Chair, or class senator, then you have to come to one of them. And they're on the ASG Instagram website and the calendar.
Thank you. This is unrelated, but we have our last dance show of the year, this Saturday and Sunday, senior recital, and these 2 really, really talented dance majors choreographed 20 minutes each of original choreography. They casted it, obviously they choreographed it, they taught us it, they did the lighting for it, they did literally everything, and it's just amazing to see the talent, so you guys should come. Tickets are almost sold out, but it's, I believe, 2 and 7, I really should know this because I'm in it. 2 and 7 on Saturday, and then 2 on Sunday, I'm pretty sure. But it's a ton of fun, and I always feel so great coming out of like an art show at school, so support the arts.
Friendly heads up if you live in a dorm that preview day is Saturday, and there will be a lot of people in your dorms from 12 to 3 if you don't want to be there and have to deal with that. Because I can imagine that's annoying.
Wait, that's something really quick. So my roommate's in fashion club, and on April 25th, there's gonna be like a vendor selling kind of thing right in front of Swig. If you did your spring cleaning and you have a ton of clothes you just don't want anymore, but you want to make money off of it, I think go to SCU Fashion on their Instagram, and the floor closes tomorrow or tonight. I don't know, but it's like a super quick, easy way to make money if you have clothes you just don't want anymore. I'm doing it, so I'd be there, so that should give you enough incentive, honestly. So yeah.
Second.
Second.